What's up, squad? Thanks for stopping by the channel. I'm your boy Trey, aka Daddy C. And now that the dust is settled, we are past the J Balvin Jordan 3 drop. We're past the Nike SB Futura drop. And now we're getting ready, right? It's the hype and crazy frenzy of Travis. But before we get into all of that, I just want to make sure that we take a time out because, you know, the sneakerhead ADHD kicks in full effect. As soon as the drop happens, it's past us, we're on to the next. But I'm going to stop and take a time out because this guy deserves his flowers. His shoe deserves his flowers. And I am talking about W that I'm lucky to get my hands on thanks to the people at Futura Laboratories and their raffle W. But I'm talking about the Nike SB Futura Dunk Low 2024. So, and here it goes. All right, so this pair is from the sale box era, right? A lot of good things dropped in the sale box this past year. So far in 2024, we've had the Racer Leal Nike SB Dunk as well. And this one, again, the Futura Dunk, this is in a bleached aqua, geo teal, and white. Here's your label. This came straight from Futura Laboratories. Man, I was so hyped when that W came in. This shoe for me was one that I had marked as must cop for 2024. It was gonna come home either way, you know, retail or not retail or bust. It was gonna be retail or I was gonna pay a tax later. And this is a shoe that I really feel is like a piece of art for your feet, right? And I've seen some other people reviewing this shoe and they just kind of quick gloss over, you know, the artist Futura did a collab with Nike, he's done some other collabs, and they just kind of go on to the design of the shoe. But I want to take a time out and really give a little bit of history on the artist known as Futura 2000, now just Futura. His name is Lenny McGurr. And Lenny McGurr is not just an artist. He's not just somebody that did graffiti in New York. This guy was a pioneer in the graffiti movement, streetwear, on to did things and collabs with musicians, with other brands, big brands. And that's all through the 70s, 80s, 90s, excuse me, 90s, early 2000s until now, right? So with Nike and Nike SB, this is like his, I think, fourth, I can't say it, well, direct collab, but he's done a lot of collabs with Nike SB, with Off-White and Nike, and then, yeah, he's just done a whole lot, man. The guy was instrumental in really pioneering the art movement, one of the pioneers in the art movement in New York back in like the late 70s, early 80s. You know, he was in the likes of like a Jean-Michel Basquiat, Andy Warhol, and some of those folks. And he was tagging, right? Like this graffiti, spray painted, the early hip hop era, like all of that scene was starting to burst. And he was a big part of that. So Lenny McGurr, Futura 2000, he did work with The Clash, and that's, you know, musician band, punk rock band. A lot of songs I'm sure you know, familiar with. You can look them up online, but that was a big deal. And then he got into his own and working in the streetwear. So he did artwork. Then he got with some guys. They had some other things. A lot of things happened, details in his life, but he really got into like the T-shirt game as well. So back in the 90s, there was when the advent of the Philly blunt became a big deal in culture, right? Just street culture, hip hop, all of those things. Lenny and his crew, they had a company and they had the Phillies blunt logo on a t-shirt. And we used to see these in, you know, in advertisements and photo shoots with people like the Beastie Boys, like Method Man, like all of this. Philly blunt was humongous back in the 90s. And of course, that was the age of, you know, that recreation becoming a big deal, right? People were rolling blunts all the time, everywhere. I was back in that era, man, and you know, me and my buddies, I'm in Baltimore. We used to go to New York, catching the train back in the early to mid 90s, and the scene was just, it was live, man. So Futura, he was a part of that whole thing. But you know, and that was before the Supremes of the world were taking off so huge, and before streetwear, you know, culture was booming as big as it was. There were some other brands like 555 Soul and I mean, so many different ones that we used to rock back in the day that, you know, are no longer around, or maybe you can find some, you know, some here and there. But early on in that scene, him and his crew also, because they were graffiti artists, they started with, you know, basically t-shirts that had logos like Rust-Oleum and Krylon, because they were the paint cans that they used to use for their artwork. So, you know, if you were a graffiti artist and you had a Krylon or Rust-Oleum tee, then, you know, that shows you were in the, you know, you have respect on those brands. They were brands that were, you know, applicable to what you did as a hobby and as a lifestyle or whatever. He did some work later with like Blue the Great, you know, of course, who did a Nike, what was a Nike Jordan Mid. Blue the Great has the Jordan Mid that's, you know, really popular. Again, another artist from that era. Uncle is another group that he did a collab with, actually, with Nike SB, and the Futura Uncle Dunk High is a very, very highly sought after art piece. You know, the shoe has basically his signature art all over it. You know, some of Futura's, you know, his art is kind of his signature art. He has the point, they call the guy the point man. So it's this art piece where the guy has like the pointed head, and it's just a, you know, really interesting, futuristic looking piece of art. I'm sure you've seen it somewhere on different things. They made toys from that piece of art. So again, he's done a lot. And with Nike SB, Nike, and I'll tell you what, I always say, I think Nike SB as an entity within Nike is really where the creative magic happens. Like, they really let those guys like just unleash their creative, you know, their pen, and just do some things. So Futura, if you've seen the behind the design on the sneakers app, you know, Lenny, Futura 2000, talks about this piece of this shoe and how the art on this shoe is literally from his artwork. This is, I'm not even 100% sure if every pair is exactly the same, because it's really his entire art that I think they cut up and used on these panels on the shoe. So this, he said, was his answer to the Paris Dunk, right? And the Paris Dunk is that one that is highly sought after, well, highly unattainable for most people, because I think is it over 100,000 a pair because it's so rare? 50,000 for sure. I can't remember the exact price of that shoe, but the Paris Dunk is huge. This one is his take on that, or his answer to that, and I freaking love it. You know, of course, he did the Friends and Family pair. It's a different color, a different piece of art that's on it. But this one, as it came out with the washed aqua, however Nike titled it on the sneakers app, to me is fire, and is 100,000% worthy of sneaker of the year, in my opinion. I know, like, early in the year, people jump off, like, soon as January, February hits, we get a couple dope drops. It's like, you know, Reimagined Breads, Military Blue 4s, sneaker of the year, that conversation happens. You know, those are dope, and don't get me wrong, 4s are my favorite silhouette. But when it comes to, you know, a piece of canvas and art and collaboration happening like this, I think this is really where innovation, you know, is going on, because I really feel that the Dunk, it's just a blank canvas, right? I mean, it's a simple silhouette, but every time you see a nice Dunk or nice Nike SB, they just look totally different, right? Just by changing up panels and doing so many different creative things. So we'll get into the breakdown of the shoe in a second, but I just wanted to talk about Futura for a minute here. A couple other things he's done with Nike SB. So of course, the most popular is the Flom Dunk High, and that's For the Love of Money. That shoe in itself is super, super highly sought after. And I want to say that's about a $50,000 shoe, I'm pretty sure. Has the dollar bills all over it and so forth. It was from 2003. Then he did another Nike SB Dunk Low Futura in 2003. I'm looking online, and that one is around like a $3,000 shoe. And it's more like gray and blue and black. And it's really, they say it really takes after, or was inspired by the steel that he painted on like the New York subway trains and all, which is cool. I mean, you know, that's his take on that shoe. And the one I talked about, the Futura Uncle Dunk High, that one goes for about $10,000. That's from 2004. And then his work with Off-White, he did an Off-White dunk with Virgil. He was very, you know, close with Virgil, close with a lot of designers in the space, and he put inspiration in his FL logo signature. You know, his logo is on that shoe. It's a UNC Dunk Low, and more like it's orange and blue, I think, right? For the other pair that he did. So Futura has been doing a lot. Lenny's been doing a lot for years in streetwear, across the culture, right? From graffiti to streetwear to sneakers, working again with brands. He worked with like the New York Mets and put some artwork, I think, on like a bobblehead. He done some work with other corporate brands. He's just all around, you know, just an innovator. And he said a lot of his early work was inspired by him just having, you know, trying to establish his identity, because he grew up basically in an interracial household, interracial parents, found out later that he was adopted. And he said he didn't really know who he was, but he knew for sure that he was Futura 2000. So I guess it was a character that he kind of just, you know, moniker he gave himself. Then that became a whole tag, and that's how his process started. So that's enough about Lenny for now. Again, shout out to them, shout out to Lenny and his group. Love that I hit on this raffle from Futura Laboratories. Put in about 5,000 EQL raffles. Got all L's, so luckily these came through. And again, talking about the design of the shoe, it is just clean. We got an icy, I'll just start from the bottom up, an icy outsole with the Futura signature on the bottom, coming up to a white midsole, and you've got this aqua stitching around that. Then on the upper, let's see, you've got the canvas around the main panels of the shoe. So that's where the artwork is, right? That is a canvas, just straight canvas. And I was talking to a friend who talked about how bad these are going to crease. Not a big fan of, you know, canvas sneakers. And I will say the white panels in this are actually mesh. This is more like a breathable mesh. So you're not getting just canvas from top to bottom, right? So you got that multicolor. You got a felt swoosh in this kind of pine, I'm not sure what kind of color that is, dark teal type color. You got the nylon tongue. You got Nike SB and Futura signature. Pretty sure that's in his handwriting. You've got the tongue trimmed in this light purple lavender type of color. And if you see the laces are fire. You've got like an aqua that goes to like a purple lavender, and they're giving you the two-tone laces like, you know, we've seen on like the Union ones. And you've got this, the tongue itself is almost like a aqua color as well. Inside the shoe, the collar in there, that's a more like a lavender color. And what else we got here? It's just beautiful, man. You got this little signature red lace eyelet at the top. And from what I understand, that's like a nod to the OG Nike SBs. So that's something from the old SBs that we don't get. So I don't see those on any of my new SBs right now. So that's a throwback. Supposedly this is like the OG cut of Nike SB. I don't know how much it's changed over the years, but this one supposedly is like a retro cut. And the same with this stitching that's on the instep of the shoe. So inside here is some extra stitching that is, again, a nod to the OG Nike SBs. Apparently this makes that just a little more reinforcement because of the skating, obviously, you know, that's, I guess, a place that's prone to tear and rip up. So there could be more there for that. And then, yeah, you got the signature on the bottom of the shoe. Because Nike Futura signature. You got the signature on the outside of the shoe, on the medial side, and on the inside of the shoe, you got FL for Futura Labs, which is dope. On the back, you got Nike, and this is reflective. So let's see here. I had to do this after the fact. Got a black light. But yeah, that's reflective on the back of your Nike on this gray panel on the back pull tab. And yeah, I think overall, man, the shoe is dope. You actually get some lavender laces that come with that as well. That matches that piping around the tongue. But the shoe itself, I think I'll leave these laces as they are in the shoe, because I think it just looks so good, man. It looks perfect. And it's a colorful shoe. I mean, it really makes me think of like a day at the beach, like somewhere in Miami, you know, near the coast, Malibu, whatever. Like, this is a great summer day, something near the sea, you know, but something I definitely want to keep protecting on to try to keep the dirt away. Speaking of protected too, the icy outsole, definitely want to get you some sole protectors on that. And I'm gonna give you a quick plug for Drip Grip, because your boy can get you 10% off. Use my code REALC10 at dripgrip.com. No reason not to do that. I'll tell you what, I have the Crenshaw Skate Club Nike SBs, and I use that on the bottoms here. And I'm gonna tell you, these stay pristine. They're worn. I hate to rip them off, but just to give you a sneak peek if I can. Here you go. So you can pull that down, and you can see that outsole is still pristine, like the day I copped these shoes, right? You can see that. Keeps them nice and fresh. And that's how I want to keep the bottom of these, because I like that artwork and I don't want me walking out and about just destroying it, because they start yellowing and it doesn't look good after time, right? But tell you what, get you some drip grip, protect these soles. They too can stay just perfectly pristine, just like these. All right. And yeah, so this shoe, is it sneaker of the year? Like, how good would you say this shoe is? I give it a rating, man. This is I say 9.5 out of 10, only because canvas and the mesh, you know, the material change. I mean, I do love, here's the thing, it's a piece of art, right? It's actually from his artwork. He's a painter, he works on canvas. The shoe is actual canvas and it has his painting on it, right? His art. So I mean, it's genius. And I just wish we had some leather from a protection standpoint. Screw it, I'm giving it 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. My other choice or shoe that was up there for this year is, again, I was talking about it, the Isa Leal, you know, Nike SBs. Love these as well. And these were up there for me before they dropped. But as great as they are, they don't necessarily compare with these guys for me. So what do y'all think? Let me know down in the comments what your rating, were you able to cop? Yeah, what do you think of this shoe? I think it's amazing. I wish I could have got my hands on that friends and family pair. I was hoping just like one size 11. And it's also great too. I actually hit Futura Labs up on IG. They responded back. I don't know if that was the man himself, but it seemed like we talked a little bit here and there. Right before, right when the raffle went live after I entered. And then, you know, a few hours later, I was like, hey man, I actually hit. And he was like, that's awesome. Congratulations. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like, it just so happened. He didn't know who I was, my email, and nothing like that. So definitely wasn't an inside connection. But just the fact talking, you know, communicating and then getting a W was awesome. And they ship quick. So super happy to get these. Might have to dig into the piggy bank and look at some other older Futura dunks to add to the collection, because I really am not a skateboarder, but I love Nike SB and I love the creativity that they put into their shoes. Always dope, always dope. So that's it for today. Good luck on all the drops coming. Good luck with Travis. We know it's going to be a show. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.